Be alert to subtle sabotage from friends. You cannot afford their well meaning doubts right now. Their doubts will reactivate your own. Be particularly alert to any suggestion that you have become selfish or different. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to week 2. I'm so excited to talk about this week because within this week, I had already a shift that really seems out of nowhere. It seems so synchronistic. It seems so beautiful and unexpected, but it gave me so much. So I'm excited to talk about this. Before I get into this, though, in week 2, in the artist's way, you continue to do the morning pages. If you haven't seen the first video, you might want to go back to that. But just as a quick recap, you're basically writing morning pages. So one of the tasks in throughout the entire 12 weeks course is to write morning pages. So free conscious flowing journaling, and it has to be 3 pages. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's a psychological thing that if you get into 3 pages, then it really is like bringing out the things that you didn't expect to come out, or maybe it just helps you to go into a specific zone or whatever. But I have been doing it. I started week 3 2 days ago already, and I have not missed one day yet. And I'm not going to. Like, I really want to take this seriously and do these tasks every day. But in week 2, it is very interesting because in week 1, you are really like watch the video, but just as a recap, real quick, you go back into memory lane and try to figure out the things that have been coming up for you, like the blurts and the negative talk that is coming up for you, that you tell yourself, where it is coming from, like from friends or from a teacher or from whatnot, which is very interesting. And then in week 2, it is more about people that are poisonous, like she calls it poisonous playmates. So is it people that are actually diminishing your work just because they project their fears onto you, basically? So, for example, be alert to subtle sabotage from friends. You cannot afford their well meaning doubts right now. Their doubts will reactivate your own. Be particularly alert to any suggestion that you have become selfish or different. These are basically red flags when people are saying, like, like, you're selfish because you're taking more space for yourself, because one of the tasks in each week is also to go on a date with yourself. So basically to go on a date with your inner artist. And maybe some friends will be like, oh, like we were meant to meet and now you're canceling to go on a date with yourself. Like, that sounds stupid or whatever, right? So like, it is really now to like look around to figure out on the outside, so not just what you're telling yourself, but like people around you that are supposed to support and love you are really doing the opposite. And it doesn't even have to be that they're doing it on purpose. It's not that they are doing it in a way that is malicious or anything. It's just because their own fears are coming up and maybe their insecurities are coming up, seeing you finally choosing you and doing the work and doing something for you, that they can't help but project that onto you. And it can be in form of like, are you sure this is a good idea? And don't you think that's a little bit much? And that nothing is going to come from this or whatnot. And it's more so just their fears. It's not really what is true about you and your journey, okay? And I thought that was really interesting and very important to notice. I personally do not have any kind of these friends in my life anymore, but reading through this and reminiscing about this, I used to have a lot of friends like this. I used to have a lot of friends, you really have to say, that were not happy with their own life, and they were always finding some diminishing ways, some diminishing words to say about my creativity, about my self-expression particularly. And yeah, it's very interesting for all of these things to come up. Like, I literally had, in week one, I wrote a letter to a specific friend from back in the day, saying how it made me feel when she told me to dance normally because she didn't want her friends to think I'm weird. And I was always very self expressive when it comes to dancing, and I still see sometimes people being rubbed the wrong way by it because I take up space when I dance. I again, very self-expressive when I'm dancing, but it's because it brings me so much joy. Like, dancing is one of the things where I really just go into a different zone, and I'm just really enjoying myself to the fullest. And sometimes that is when you shine your light, the light sometimes shines on the shadow of other people, and that makes them uncomfortable. And I think this is what is happening in that case for me. And I do not get any people anymore saying anything. I sometimes still notice some looks or whatever. But most of the time, if someone approaches me, it's something positive. It's like, I love your vibe. I love how you dance. I love how, like, you look so happy when you dance. It's beautiful to like get this now. Whereas in the past, it was like something different that I heard, right? So I think that was really interesting as well. And then she talks about skepticism. So really, that I'm just going to read it to you. One of the things most worth noting in a creative recovery is our reluctance to take seriously the possibility that the universe just might be cooperating with our new and expanded plans. So synchronicities and serendipity and serendipitous coincidences might happen. And I have a story for you because it did happen to me, right? Like, there is a synchronistic thing that happened to me, which gets me so excited. That's really the reason why I decided to make this vlog, because I was like, it's crazy that within 2 weeks already of a 12 weeks course, I can see things shifting so obviously. So it's also very uncanny that she talks about it in week 2, and something like that happened to me in week 2. So everyone that has thinking like that that thought about reading this book at some point in their life, and they maybe even start and then they put it down again, please do it. Please, like, you owe it to yourself to try this out, because it is absolutely working, and it is an absolutely beautiful journey so far. There obviously is like so much more that she talks about this in week 2, chapter 2, basically. But one thing that I also found very interesting was, the life pie. You're supposed to draw a circle divided into 6 pieces of a pie. Label one piece spirituality, another exercise, another play, work, friends, and romance/adventure. And then you place a dot in each slice at the degree to which you are fulfilled in that area. And then you connect the dots. And obviously I did this, and this is how it looks like. And I found that very interesting. So you can see the different dots and how happy I am with them. So basically, the outer rim indicates great, and the inner circle not so great. So when the dots are closer to the inner circle, then there's improvement. And when it is closer to the outer circle, then I'm happy with it. And you can see that it's not really balanced at the moment. What is what I'm very happy with at the moment is exercise, spirituality, and my friends. And what can improve is my work, my business. I'm in transitional phase. I'm like really not super happy with when it comes to my business right now, but I'm super excited to go on this journey to explore what's next for me in my business. Romance and adventure could be better, even though since I did this, it already got better. And I want to argue that it might also be because of this book and this journey. And then play can also be better, which I also feel like got a little bit better since then. Just because another of the tasks is like list 20 things you enjoy doing. And just really sitting your ass down and thinking about what you enjoy doing can already shift so many things, because then these things come back into your awareness. And then one of the tasks obviously is to pick two of them to do this. And I did both, which is amazing. So it is a very, very beautiful journey and a very interesting course to follow and go about. And it really does shift things. So now I want to tell you about like what happened to me. So like, if you are watching my other videos, if you're following me on Instagram, or if you watched week 1 already, I am moving back to Germany for a while. I live in Bali right now, if you don't know me. And I have a dog, and I have to take her with me, but it's very complicated and quite expensive to take dogs out of Bali. So I created a GoFundMe. If you want to support us in that journey, then the link is in the description. Every dollar helps. If you can share it with friends and family, I would be very grateful as well. And a friend of mine reached out to me asking me how he can support me in this journey. And I was like, well, I have a GoFundMe. And he was like, oh, okay, great. I'm going to donate. And then he said, but you have to do something for me in return. And I was like, what's that? And he said, pick your camera back up and start shooting. I actually already talked about this in week 1, but I think it's such a significant thing. And if you just found this video before the first one, I just wanted to talk about it again. I used to be a photographer and I had so much fun doing it. And then COVID hit and I had to stop doing it. And then I found myself on a different journey and a different business. And I never really got back into photography. What I'm realizing now doing this artist's way journey is that I want to be an artist. I want to be a story, or I am an artist. I am a storyteller, and I love writing, and I love doing videos, and I love public speaking, but I also love photography and documentary and capturing things in that way, which is also storytelling. And what I realized is that I need to stop restricting myself, putting myself into just one lane, one drawer, one way of doing things, right? So that came up through a friend, and I was like, interesting. Maybe I will actually do that when I'm back in Germany, because my cameras are there. I used to be an analog photographer, so shooting with film. And then a couple of days later, a friend that I haven't talked to in years, really just on Instagram here and there, like seeing a story and replying to it, but never really talked in a long time. And she sent me an Instagram post for a female photography grant. And I was like, this is crazy. And I'm pretty sure that I would have not applied to it if it wouldn't have been for my friend reaching out saying, pick your camera back up, a couple of days prior to that. So the synchronicities are already very interesting. And then I applied to it. It is a grant for female photographers, but then also the topic of the photography series that you are supposed to create with that grant had a topic which was also surrounded around women. And then I applied for it. It took me like 3 days to get everything together, write it down, create a mood board, upload like my prior work and whatnot. And then I realized that I finished the application on March 8th, which is International Women's Day. This can't be a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that this is a sign from God, from the universe, through the work that I'm doing, through allowing myself to open myself up to the inner artist, the creativity that lives within me, the energy that wants to express itself through whatever and in whatever way. And I need to allow it finally to come up again and just play. So that has been my week 2. I just started week 3, so I'm excited to get into making the video when I'm done with week 3. And if you ever came across that book and were intrigued by it, I really, really encourage you to get that book and read it and do that course. I know it takes accountability and I know it takes some time to put into it. Maybe these videos will encourage you to do it. Maybe these videos will work a little bit like an accountability buddy. Like, I would love to hear what is going on for you. Please leave like some comments and let me know how it is going for you, how this maybe inspired you. If you have questions, or I would love to see more people reading that book, because what we really need right now in this world is authentic self-expression that is connected to things that we love doing, because this is how we create more energy that we love. By doing things that we love, we create more energy that is love, that is joy. And that is what the world needs right now, because the world is at a state where it desperately needs love and joy and high vibrational energy. And the way for us, everyone out there sitting at home and feeling helpless about everything that is happening, this is one thing that you can do. Raise your own vibration by doing things that make you happy to raise the vibration of the planet. This is how that works. If you are not in a position to do anything else, then this is what you can do. Tend to yourself, tend to your inner artist, your inner child, the joy, the play that you have neglected for so long. I know I did. And that's why I'm here on this journey, and I'm so excited for it. Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and come back next week to see what happened throughout my third week of that course. I'm super excited. I can, again, already feel shifts happening. So I'm excited to share that with you next week. Okay, bye.